So, you did it. You finally got a drone. That's awesome. But look, before you launch that amazing piece of technology into the beautiful Israeli sky, there are a few things you absolutely, positively have to know. So welcome. This is your essential guide to flying right. You've ripped open the box, you've peeled off all that plastic, the batteries are glowing green, you can almost feel the sticks in your hands. So the big question is, are you ready to fly? Well, let's just pump the brakes for a second, because before you take off, you've got to understand that here in Israel, it's not just about pushing a button. In the eyes of the law, that cool gadget is officially an aircraft, and that makes you a pilot with all the responsibilities that come with it. Okay, let's dive into our first section. Before we even talk about the rules of the sky, we have to figure out exactly what you're flying, because believe me, not all drones are created equal in the eyes of the law. First up, we've got what's called the tiny drone, or katav bam zer. This is your super lightweight category. We're talking 250 grams or less, and that includes whatever it's carrying, like a camera. A lot of the popular hobbyist drones, you know the ones, they fall right into this category. The rules are a little more relaxed for these guys, but they are definitely still there. Now, if your drone is a bit heavier, you're stepping up into the small drone category, or katav bam katan. This is a huge range, covering anything from just over 250 grams all the way up to 25 kilograms. Most of your prosumer and professional drones live here, and you guessed it, the regulations get a whole lot stricter. All right, so you've identified your drone. Great. Now let's get into Section 2, license and registration. Think of this as getting your official paperwork in order, your keys to the sky, so to speak. So how do you get licensed? It's actually pretty straightforward. There are 3 basic steps. First, you've got to be at least 16 years old. Second, you need to be able to read and really understand the official rules, which come in both Hebrew and technical English. And third, you've got to pass the official online theory test from the Civil Aviation Authority. Now listen, this is a really important point that a lot of people miss. There are absolutely no exceptions to registration. Every single drone, even those tiny little ones under 250 grams, has to be registered with the CAA. Simple as that. Your registration is good for 4 years, and you have to put your ID number on the drone itself where it's easy to see. Okay, paperwork's done. Now we get to the fun part, and the most important part. Section 3, the rules of the sky. These are the core principles you need to live and breathe every single time you fly. This isn't just about red tape. This is about keeping everyone safe. The first, the biggest, the most fundamental rule of all is maintaining visual line of sight. We call it VLOS, and it's non-negotiable. It means you have to be able to physically see your drone with your own 2 eyes. No binoculars, no telescope, at all times. Why? Because you need to know exactly where it is and where it's going instantly. Next up, altitude. How high can you go? Just burn this number into your brain. 100 meters above ground level. That is your standard ceiling, a hard limit you just can't cross without getting special permission. And altitude isn't the only limit, of course. There are a few other key numbers to keep in mind. You can't go faster than 87 knots. You need to have at least 3 kilometers of visibility to fly safely, and you have to stay at least 150 meters vertically away from any clouds. Now, if you remember only one safety rule from this entire conversation, please make it this one. Manned aircraft, we're talking planes, helicopters, anything with a human pilot inside, they always have the right of way. There are 0 exceptions. Think about it. They're bigger, they're faster, and they can't just stop on a dime. If you see one, your only job is to get out of the way, period. So, knowing how to fly is one half of the puzzle. The other half? Knowing where to fly. So let's move on to Section 4, mapping your flight zone. Trust me, this is every bit as important as your stick skills. So, where can't you fly? Well, a lot of places are just straight-up no-fly zones. You have to stay at least 2 kilometers away from any airport runway and 3 kilometers away from a military base. Flying over populated areas or major infrastructure is a big no-no without special permission. And this is critical. Never, ever fly over an emergency scene like a fire or an accident. You can interfere with first responders. And always, always check the latest NOTAMs. That's notices to airmen before you fly. They'll tell you about any temporary flight restrictions. Now, what about flying near people? This is a big one, and the rules are black and white depending on your drone's weight. If you have a tiny drone under 250 grams, you can fly over people, but only if you're not hovering and it doesn't have any exposed propellers.
But for any drone over that 250-gram mark, it's a hard no. You have to keep a horizontal distance of at least 50 meters away from anyone who isn't part of your flight crew.
And that brings us to our final and, you could say, most important section, the pilot's checklist. Because at the end of the day, all these rules, all these regulations, they all fall on the shoulders of one person, you. You are the pilot in command. You know, every safe flight begins long before the drone even leaves the ground. It starts with a solid pre-flight check. You need to look for any cracks or damage, especially on the propellers. Give the batteries a good look for any swelling or leaks. Make sure your controller has a perfect, solid link to the drone. And finally, take a look around. Assess the weather, check the airspace, and be aware of any obstacles. And that pre-flight check, well, it includes checking yourself. Your fitness to fly is just as important as the drone's mechanical state. And the law here is crystal clear. You are absolutely under no circumstances allowed to fly a drone while under the influence of alcohol or any drug that could mess with your judgment. So, there you have it. That's the core of what you need to know to fly safely and legally in Israel. See, it's about so much more than just getting that killer shot. It's about responsibility. It's about being a respected member of the aviation community. The sky is waiting. So, are you prepared to be its pilot?